My name is Nikita Bernstein. I'm the CEO and founder of JoMI, a surgical video journal. The challenge that we've set out to address is the challenge of improving surgical outcomes and patient safety. As an entrepreneur, I'm always interested in how do you measure things? How do you impact things in a way that you can actually tell whether you're getting traction? And we're looking at surgical errors, where as an indicator we can look at malpractice costs. We're looking at choice of procedure, where we can measure it by looking at epidemiology data. And we're looking at quality of execution, where we might look at complication rates, time in the OR, blood loss, etc. By way of example, in 2014, liability payments amounted to $93 million. So this is an example of how we can measure the influence that we have over the market as an education, because fundamentally, the variables I've outlined, they can be influenced through education. So where does that education take place? That education takes place in the context of residency training, attending knowledge transfer, so this is kind of the collaborative model of practicing medicine, and preparing for rare, novel, and trauma procedures. And the context within which this is needed, hospitals, medical schools, of which there is a finite amount. So, see one, do one, teach one, right? This is the model for medical education, and we have put together a surgical video journal that creates a bridge to high-volume surgeons at centers of excellence. So, what do? We go into the OR and we film. We film with 5 to 10 cameras, and then we produce a really high-quality video article, which we display on our website, and it looks something like this. And at this point, allow me to switch to an example. Let's go for this one. So this is an ACL repair, which I'm sure a lot of you know who have either have gone through it or know people who have. I'm gonna watch it at 2x speed. Every article starts with a schematic, which gives a very clear, concise explanation of what is about to happen. Now, our intention is to be valuable to surgeons, but accessible to patients. And we've been actually very surprised that our audience spans the gamut from people who are about to undergo the procedure of their loved ones, all the way through to surgeons. After the animation, there's a quick introduction by the surgeon, and then what we do is we provide a really beautiful experience. Here's an example.
Okay, and then the figure 4 positioning, good, perfect. Okay, I can see here's the lateral meniscus. It's pretty good. There's a little bit of fraying there. Little tiny fraying here, but it's very stable. So I wouldn't do anything there. There's a little bit of radial fray.
So as you can see, there are multiple angles. Cameras are synchronized. We highlight anatomy when it is helpful for educational purposes. Every article has chapters on the left for easy navigation. We like to film from incision to closure to make sure that we're comprehensive. The articles have the traditional text components. We are an academic endeavor. It is a peer-reviewed journal, so you will see that there is imaging. There's imaging alongside with the article, and every article also has a procedure here, where you have a step-by-step explanation of what's going to happen in case you want to skim and understand what's going on. So, where do we film? We work extensively with Massachusetts General Hospital, primarily with their general surgery department. We filmed Dr. Lilmo and a number of surgeons there. We filmed quite a bit of trauma, actually with Brigham and Women's, with Dr. Weaver. and a number of other positions throughout. Primarily right now in the Boston area, since this is a bit of a mecca. We have paying subscribers, over 40 subscribing institutions, around $100,000 in revenues to date. You'll recognize some of the logos. In terms of the market is big. I mean, this is no surprise. You're probably more familiar with it than I am in many respects. Right now, we're focusing on orthopedics, orthopedic trauma, general surgery. We're right now potentially expanding into neurosurgery, but eventually we'll cover all surgical areas. And just by reasonable projections, we're thinking that we should be able to hit 17 million in 5 years without really much of a problem. I do think that the potential is much higher than that. Right now, our objectives is we've entered the third stage of the venture. The first stage is MVP. Second stage is can we sell it? And the third stage is now it's time to grow. So we're now setting up remote filmings, expanding into neurosurgery, and we're looking into resource-constrained environments because that's where we feel there is a lot of value to be generated. So we're working with the G4 Alliance to potentially produce content for those markets. Right now we're heavy in the US. Our traffic is coming mostly through Google, so it's international. We're thinking of expanding into Germany and China, which is why I'm here today. And low resource countries, but there it's more we're working with Hinari and with other organizations. We're going to let them handle it. They'll just tell us what they need. Why I'm here? So we're actually a very unique venture. We've purposefully avoided VC capital, so we have a tremendous amount of freedom in what we do. And we've decided to take a very radical, novel approach to sales, which is impact-based and value-driven, meaning that we actually allow anybody to access our content. We require that they create an account, and if there's enough account created at an institution, we don't want to say, oh, you're in a poor institution, God knows or whatever, God bless you, keep treating people. Oh, hello, Stanford. You should probably pay us. And Stanford is one of our customers. So we're looking right now to grow. We're looking to produce content here. We're looking to scale out.
3 minutes.
Right now we're in talks with Charité Hospital, with several surgeons there. That's where I think we're going to have some of the neurosurgery content coming in with Dr. Sabanka. And I'd really love right now to grow as aggressively as we can to provide as much value as we can in a quantifiable and rigorous manner. So, couldn't do it alone. We have a pretty extensive team. The company is divided into 4 departments. There's editorial, video. Notice that there is, instead of having sales department or business department, it's an impact department. So we have a team that is responsible for marketing. Then there's a team that's responsible for traction and analytics. And then there's a team that actually follows up with sales. And my hope is that the sales is going to be trivial because either there is value or there isn't. This is us. We're super excited to be here. It's an exciting time to be in IT. It's an exciting time to be in medicine. And I'm not an MD, so I come into this a little bit out of left field. And I feel like healthcare innovation is a tragedy in and of itself because so many things are so broken, but as an entrepreneur, so many things that can be fixed. And we're very excited to hopefully contribute to that narrative. Thank you.
So your company is called Journal Medical Insight, but you're focused right now exclusively on surgery. What's the strategy there? Are you planning on expanding beyond exclusively surgery procedures?
In entrepreneurship, it's focus. So for the next, at least probably 2 years, we're going to be focusing on surgery in and of itself. But one thing that I don't like about the venture right now is we're publishing really high quality articles, but we're hoping to influence the decision-making process, and that requires data. So we're right now actually rebuilding the 4th iteration of the site, which will be, we're thinking about how we integrate with the data aspect and create a meta layer to facilitate with the decision-making process. And eventually my hope is actually for JoMI to be a launch pad for other ventures, because one of the things that's really frustrating to me in medicine, it either helps or it doesn't, right? And if it does not help, you have no business of taking money from the system, and if it helps, there should be very rapid adoption. Right now, companies here are discussing, do I have my own sales force or do I not? Do I have marketing department or do I not? Whereas if players, publishers like us are able to help deliver this content to the decision makers who then pull it in if it helps, I think we can create tremendous value. So yes, we do plan to expand beyond surgery, but right now we need to make sure that the venture is sustainable in the core value that it's providing.
So how do you
Protect patient privacy.
Every patient signs a release form, and when we edit the videos, we actually give patients an opportunity to receive credit for being present. And in one instance, we did a post-operative interview with a patient with Dr. Blumen's patients here, and she was ecstatic to the point where she ended up working with us. And she actually wanted to be identified because there was a discussion that was happening between her and the physician, which was really great from an educational standpoint. But in general, in most of our procedures, all of the identifying information is either read out or removed altogether. So we're very careful.
So how do you work with the surgeons? You sign a contract with them, or you go to hospitals? Because I think Burn Woman at least MGH video surgeries, both are surgeries, right? If you have cameras, not all, but some, many. So you work with hospitals or you work with individual surgeons?
So initially we started with working with individual surgeons. With Mass General, we have a contract. The interesting thing to me is that most hospitals don't film their surgeries, and their capabilities are very limited. So there are things that they can do, like scope footage, great, but the way it's stored, the way it's used is actually, there's a huge opportunity there, and there's a number of companies that are trying to move into that space. But right now, we're relying on ourselves to collect that footage, and if an OR has filming capabilities, we're under much more fun to film in than the older wings at Mass General, because they do have built-in cameras. But right now, initially, we started with working with individual surgeons, and then the surgeons internally push to publish with us. And then gradually, we're shifting over to the model where we begin working with hospitals. And I actually think that we're going to be potentially working with hospitals to help standardize delivery of care, because if you have a surgeon who's taking 3 hours to perform a procedure versus a surgeon who takes 1 hour, you want to understand the difference, and we could be a very good tool to help with that sort of percent.
So you mentioned you are not interested in us for individual investors. So what you
3 minutes.
Yeah. So what you want? You want to promote your journal, or you want to spread the word to have membership?
So right now we have this great content, but content is no good if it's collecting dust, right? So what we're looking for is we want to try to build relationships to help get it out there. It's a bridge to Mass General, bridge to Brigham, bridge to all these great surgeons, but that bridge has to have both ends. At the same time, as far as investment goes, we actually are looking for investment, but we're looking for smart money in small amounts to accelerate our growth. I only want to take as much money as I can deploy, rather than taking enough money for the next 2 years. Right? So, for example, right now, Sven Fund, who's the former CEO of De Gruyter, put in a little bit of capital, but he's also an amazing strategic investor who is helping us roll along. So we are interested in investment, we're just very, very careful about who we bring on.
Yes, I remember about 20, 30 years ago when the US surgeons, the best way to be trained is to go to hospitals such as Mass General, and the Mass General will build their surgical room with observation desk, and then all the surgeon will watch, how the surgery was actually taking place, and you're now taking it one step further to take all those footage and distribute it to a wider audience, which is very good.
We've actually received really fun comments from medical students who say, look, like, we're expected to shadow, and I can't see any of it. And I may be holding a retractors and I'm just terrified that I might hold them wrong and, oh God. Whereas here, there's a surgeon intimately whispering so nothing's into my ear. Right, so it's an incredibly rich experience. We actually, I'd really like to move us into 3D, because right now, like Olympus has really good technology for filming 3D scope footage. I really want to move us into, I think the way that we consume content is fundamentally changing. And we've been told that surgical techs should also be looking at us, but the way a surgical tech would look at this content versus a medical student versus an attending, fundamentally different. So what I'm hoping for is that hospitals are going to deploy equipment that is actually going to film extensively for your comment. And then we get the feed, and then we create navigational paths through those feeds customized to the specific audience. Right? If we're able to do that, I think it's going to be tremendous. But in the meantime, we're actually right now looking to start getting external teams to give us content. We control the quality of production so we can maintain really, really high quality of product. And that's where we find ourselves right now.
Yeah, it would be great to go to medical schools in China.
No. Gladly. We actually have quite a good job.
Time's up.